get the appropriate scoring done correctly and be fair to all involved. We traditionally don't have applause in between each one to show any type of preference. In this case, we will be on mute, so it won't matter, or we could always go to the applause for the deaf, which is just waving your hands in the air like you really, really care, and away we go. If the speakers don't have any questions in regards to what's happening, Ms. Briselli, do you have any questions or concerns on how we're doing this with you?
Nope, it seems all in line.
Okay, and then our judges, I'm assuming that we're all here and ready. If you can wave back at Miss Linda.
We're all good, Greg.
Outstanding. And with that, we are ready. If speaker number one is ready, the rest of us will go to mute until speaker one is completed. And thank everybody.
Okay, so fair warning beforehand, my Wi-Fi went down, so I'm currently on my phone, but I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity to let us contribute our ideas to your community. And if everyone's ready, I will begin. Okay, sounds good. Before the pandemic, I worked as a tutor in the library, and every once in a while, there would be a student that would throw their paper down in defeat and tell me they couldn't do it. They'd ask me if they could grab a book instead. And it would kill me to think that at the age of just 7 or 8, these kids were already giving up on a world of possibilities. But so long as it was a nonfiction book, I would let them. And they'd always grab a book about space or dinosaurs or animation. And after they finish reading, they tell me that they want to be an astronaut or a paleontologist or an animator. And I look at them and I tell them each time that it's a real shame they left their math homework, because they have to learn a bit more math to enter any one of those fields. Without fail, every single time they picked up their paper, went back to their workstation and finished their assignment. While humanities such as reading and writing are taught as these captivating interests that can bloom into amazing capabilities, math and science are taught as weeding out the weak to create the perfectly shaped, cut, and dedicated. And dedication takes both time and money. Mathematically and scientifically based interests such as programming and educational experimenting takes money and has become a luxury within the modern world. Even though science and math contribute greatly to a student's education, just as much as humanities do. Scientists at Temple University found that by 1st and 2nd grade, kids are already experiencing STEM-based anxiety. This then contributes to the idea that as a subject gets more difficult, students are more inclined to drop that subject because they believe that they will no longer be able to be included within that subject and should just quit while they're ahead. This is a key issue because it not only affects their current motivation to learn, but it also negatively affects their future aspirations. But there was a solution found. In the International Magazine of STEM Education, there was a study conducted in which one set of students was sent to an after-school STEM learning program and one set of students wasn't. The effects of this study were immediate. Those kids grew up to value science and be more involved within their field. They were also more inclined to attend college and increase their abilities to ask questions if they didn't understand things. Overall, the study concluded that these kids were more likely to lead successful lives. Over time, more studies began cropping up from organizations such as the National Academy of Science or the University of Chicago that each concluded that young children's exposure to STEM-based education in an environment free from the pressures of curriculum and grades can retain and rebuild a student's connection to STEM subjects and lead to their overall success. Moreover, the Florida State College of Education found that currently STEM workers receive about 26% more compensation than non-STEM workers. And in the future, STEM job growth within the next decade is expected to double. With this, the Borgen Project found that experiencing STEM from a young age can allow children to, in the long term, uplift themselves from poverty, which means today's problems are solved, right? Not quite. In Las Vegas, there are plenty of STEM activities for kids to do, like the VEX Robotics Club or the UNLV and UNR Engineering for Kids classes and camps. But each one of them comes tacked with a $200 price for each child. And while there are plenty of parents that can afford to send their children to these programs, there are also a lot of families in financial distress that cannot afford this luxury. Many of these organizations have workers that can teach children for larger periods of time and teach larger groups of children. Many of these individuals even volunteering and being professors and people within the STEM field working for free even. But at the end of the day, they lack the financial resources to create supplies. The majority of their funds come directly from the students involved in these programs, which means they're completely inaccessible to these low-income families. But the Rotary Club can change that. The people of the Rotary Club have been so open-hearted by single-handedly alleviating our literacy rates by a large portion by allowing donations to programs such as the Beckley Elementary School and the National Public Education Foundation. And these are the same people that can make this difference now by donating to organizations such as the VEX Robotics Club and giving money to these STEM camps, or simply just coordinating events between these camps and schools that can make a real impact and skyrocket every child's education to a more modern and dynamic setting. As our education is moving faster and faster, we have to adapt to teaching that way. And in this way, the Rotary Club will have the opportunity to capitalize on this and inspire students all across Las Vegas, across every demographic, to be innovative and scientific thinkers, not only progressing their education, but overall progressing our society as well. So with the truth and the evidence found in my plan today, let's talk about the rest of the four-way test. Fairness can only be achieved within our public education system when we begin seeing math and science as a necessity and not a luxury or an extremely difficult test that only gifted kids can pass. And the Rotary Club can create this opportunity. They can make this change and modernize our education. With programs completely based off of building students' communication skills and their ability to work as teams, these programs will be intrinsic to creating environments in which these kids will learn how to build things like goodwill and friendship and their social capabilities. And finally, not only are we creating better and brighter educational heights for these children, but we're making a real impact on our city, little by little, by changing the children and the way that they learn within our city. We will, in the long term, make an impact on the entirety of Las Vegas by uplifting not just those children, but their families as a whole, by alleviating them out of poverty. So with the road paved today, with almost all of the resources in place, with just the need of one organization's funding to accelerate these kids' learning opportunities, and because the Rotary Club has been a pillar of education, because the people of the Rotary Club are so magnanimously working towards creating open opportunities for these children today, that I ask you to pave the way for education and create a new innovative form of STEM education. Thank you.
I think we're quiet because the judges are tabulating. Is that correct, Greg?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, I think we are quiet right now because the judges are tabulating. Is that correct, Greg Townsend?
I think Greg dropped off.
He's back. Well, he was for a
Yep.
moment.
Greg, you're muted.
My button. There we go. Sorry about that. Unintentional pause there. Old fingers can't find the buttons all the time. Thank you, Speaker One, and our judges should be coming close to being ready. One of the opportunities, Mike, for our fundraiser, there's an app called Smart Things, and it connects your smartphone to your smart TV. And if you see me, I am looking at my TV in my living room and not having to stare at my small phone. For our event, that would be lovely, $85 ticket. Doesn't mean everybody is huddled around a computer watching it. We would have it smart thing right onto your big screen TV that everybody has in their home. So anyway, there's an opportunity. It's an app, Smart Thing. No rewards for me pushing their product. And judges, thumbs up. And I'm assuming we are
Yes,
good.
Greg, I believe we're ready to move on.
Okay, now we will have speaker number 2.
Right. Imagine being a young girl with everything you could ever want or need. You have toys galore, a huge house to run around and play in, a nice TV to watch your favorite shows and movies, and most importantly, you never have to worry about wondering when your next meal will be. The world is yours for the taking. Now, after imagining what it would be like to have everything, imagine how it would be to have all of that taken away. There are girls all over the world who have next to nothing and never know when their next meal will be. Some of those girls live in Bolivia, and their passion? Gymnastics. These girls live in one of the poorest sections of their city in dire poverty, and their school consisted of a patio with a hard floor, a small grass garden, and a volunteer gymnast to come teach them. One day, a Rotarian named Maria Nelly learned of the girls' situation and knew she had to help. Together with her fellow club members, she raised a total of 10,000 United States dollars to help the girls in their school. The school began to grow, and soon the girls won Bolivia's rhythmic gymnastics competition 3 years in a row. Without Rotary's help, these girls would never have had the amazing opportunity to show the world what they were capable of. Rotary opens opportunities. Service above self, as one of their official mottos say. Rotary has been helping others since it was founded by Paul Harris in 1905. They have been making people's lives better while helping them achieve their dreams. One of the leading factors that drives Rotarians from around the world to serve others is the four-way test. The four-way test states, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? The four-way test not only describes Rotarians' lives, but also describes their efforts to make the world a better place. Rotary has helped to almost eradicate polio, has supported education, and has provided students the opportunity Rotary has raised $50 million in United States currency to help eradicate the disease. Today, because of their efforts, polio only runs rampant through the states of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Millions of lives, many of them children's, have been saved through Rotary's efforts. Now, these healthy people can live full, happy lives, a dream once thought impossible. And Rotary continues to fight the virus. They continue to provide vaccines, and they work to provide clean water. As I mentioned earlier, one way the polio virus can spread is through contaminated water. Rotary has conducted numerous sanitation projects to make sure everyone has access to clean H2O, stopping the spread of polio before it can reach its next victim. Furthermore, Rotary's work to not only increase the amount of clean water, but to make it more accessible. It is proven that the more clean water that is accessible, the more children that will attend school. Though we may not always like it or appreciate it, school is one of the most important parts of anyone's life. Through school, we learn how to read, write, do math, and to even give speeches. We usually forget how lucky we are to have the privilege of attending school. Did you know that 17% of the world's adult population is illiterate, and that, as of 2018, 258 million children do not attend school? Education is important. Even if a person only had the ability to read, they would be open to many more job opportunities than their illiterate neighbor. Thankfully, Rotary has completed numerous acts in order to support education. They have opened schools, provided schools with clean, fresh water, and have worked with teachers to enhance their students' learning. Rotarian tutored students were proficient in math, while only 20% of the non-tutored students were proficient. With Rotary's assistance, these students received tutoring that helped advance their education and the knowledge that they are capable of great success. The Rotary Youth Exchange Program is an amazing opportunity. Students aged 15 to 19 are given the chance to experience a new culture for a full school year. They have the opportunity to learn a new language, meet new friends, and to even become a global citizen, which is a person who understands the world and their place in it while working to make it a better place. A few countries Rotary has exchanged students with are Australia, Japan, Hungary, and India. However, nothing is free, yet Rotary does its best to keep costs low and affordable so every young adult can partake in this amazing program and have the opportunity to grow into the smart young leaders they are meant to be. These three examples are just a portion of the many goals Rotary has worked toward, and each epitomizes the quality of the four-way test. Providing education to all is a perfect example of the first section of the test. Is it the truth? Yes, it is the truth that millions of people all over the world have not received a decent education. And yes, it is the truth that Rotary is working hard to fix that problem. Eradicating polio is a perfect example of the second section of the test. Is it fair to all concerned? Yes, it is fair to all concerned that their loved ones have a better chance of survival now that a possibly fatal disease is gone. Rotary's foreign exchange program is a perfect example of the third section of the four-way test. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? What greater way to build goodwill and better friendships than to learn and understand firsthand how people from different cultures think and go about their daily lives? And finally, every single action Rotary takes to change the world is a perfect example of the fourth and final section of the four-way test. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Everything Rotary does is for the greater good. They work to provide opportunities to many people who may not have had them if not for the club. Rotarians have two mottos: service above self, and one profits most who serves best. From what I have learned about Rotary, I know that each and every Rotarian works to both live by the four-way test and perfectly represent the club's mottos. Thank you for all that you have done for both our community and our world. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker number 2. And our judges will get a moment here. I'm assuming that I'm coming through.
Yes.
Yes, okay, good
We're
deal.
seeing your hand a lot.
Yes, ma'am. I will try to.
And we
Keep
would
my-
ask the speakers to please make sure that your volume is up. Some of us are having a little trouble hearing.
Was,
Some of us have that problem with or without speaker volume. Just ears don't work as well as they used to.
for a good while into her presentation, I couldn't see her at all. I don't know where she was. All I could see was Greg. I love you, Greg, but
You know I am not speaker number 2.
I know that.
Okay.
I don't know where she was. There she is, still smiling.
Lee,
Hey.
you can pin the speaker. If you look at the top of your screen, there's arrows and you just arrow over to find the speaker. And you click on, like in the top right corner, there's 3 dots. And you click on that and just click pin, and that will pin that to your screen.
Boy, these young kids teach us everything, huh? Our judges are about done. Okay. With that is speaker number 3. Are you about ready? And if so, the show is yours. Thank you. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Everyone who knows me can tell you one thing for certain. I'm not a perfect child. All of you might be seeing this, but that's a far stretch from the truth. Like any other 16-year-old, I've been on the brunt end of more than a few lectures, and regardless of the message, my abundance of scoldings, reprimands, and berations never failed to bring back, well, fond memories. But honestly, I can take it. I can take all the complaints about chores, grades, and slightly misaligned ties, because one thing makes it all worth it: my allowance. See, that $5 I get every Sunday gives me the chance to be free and have a little fun. Cheap fun, but fun nonetheless. It got me thinking though, how effective are relief efforts, aid packages, and community outreach? Now, that probably seems like a stretch, and I totally get that. But hear me out. It's the same underlying idea as a weekly allowance. Give a group a sum of money, resources, or services in order to stimulate, support, and create opportunities. I'm almost certain that my allowance is a pretty good deal, but it's hard to make a firm determination when it translates to the national level. For instance, America and other countries have funneled billions in foreign aid into Africa, yet per capita income across the continent is either stagnant or declining. In fact, fulfilling what seemed to be a pressing need actually inhibited strides taken towards self-sufficiency by creating a dependency on donations. We see this controversy again domestically. Most charity-type approaches to homelessness don't help transition people back into society. Instead, they often leave them on the streets. In Los Angeles alone, over $2 billion are spent every year just maintaining the status quo. The same people who received aid and community support are the same people still homeless. When even the most altruistic thoughts fail, is there really legitimacy to outreach and relief? Does it really bring the opportunities it promises? Unlike my weekly allowance, those are big questions, and there's a lot of nuance to each. So let's break it down with the Rotary 4-way test. The truth. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Let's start with the first question. Is it the truth? We can see all around us that an untold number of lives are struggling in one way or another. Vulnerable populations abound in our world, with nearly 1.89 billion living in poverty. Let me rephrase that in more tangible terms. That's about 36% of all people, 1 in 3. In the Clark County School District alone, more than $23 million was spent on resources to ensure equal education this school year, which is only a slight indicator of the number of families who rely on external support for food distribution, clothing, health supplies, and other basic necessities. Nearly 16 hours of volunteer work is done by Rotarians each in order to fight these kinds of issues. And the club here in Vegas has served thousands of at-risk children with their Santa Clothes program and thousands more with their annual canned food drive. Relief and aid undeniably reflect the truth. Moving on to the second question, is it for all concerned? Well, it certainly couldn't be unfair. Philanthropy is giving means to those without, bridging the humanitarian chasm that has plagued our world for far too long. It is opportunity for everyone to flourish, not just those fortunate enough to be blessed by circumstance. That's service above self. That's fair. And that brings us to a question. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? To say the least, it certainly couldn't hurt. When we give life the opportunity to blossom, to thrive amidst tumultuous times, our community grows as a whole. Aid and community support strengthens the bonds which connect everyone. Even one life changed brings about infinite possibilities. Active service projects through Rotary often means connecting with local cultures and friendship exchanges. They serve to establish the foundations for peace and understanding. Mediators and advocates can only resolve conflict wherever they go. The third test gets a yes. Now reach the final question. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? This is perhaps the most crucial aspect of the test when it comes to discussion today. Does relief really have benefits? Is there really any positive change? The truth is yes and no. Now, I'll admit that's a bit confusing. I mean, how can it be both? It's one or the other. Yet the distinction actually lies in the approach. Consider my example before, in Los Angeles. Just giving money didn't accomplish any good. In fact, it did the opposite, creating a dependence on foreign aid. Another example, a $2 million donation from the European Union was used to fund an AIDS awareness play, but the entire production ended up being a complete waste of money. Still, understand that these aren't reasons to dismiss humanitarian efforts altogether. Instead, they teach us that money without purpose solves nothing. It teaches us when you fail to consider the impact and follow through in action, situations can easily escalate. So are there ways for relief efforts to actually be beneficial to all concerned? Look no further than here. Rotary. Rather than crippling local economies with blank checks, Rotarians have given out microloans, which encourage entrepreneurs to form stable jobs, stimulate economies, and create opportunities as a whole. The borrowed money breaks the cycle of poverty rather than reinforces it, changing lives for the better. Instead of dancing around health issues, Rotary goes to the source, actively combating diseases like malaria, AIDS, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and polio through local clinics, blood donation centers, and training facilities, which build healthcare infrastructure. In fact, the Global Polio Eradication Initiative has reduced polio cases by 99.9% since the first project. And as a whole, education programs have thrived in the same way that I'm speaking here today and others speak around the globe. Outreach and service have the potential to do good and catalyze opportunities. It just needs to be done in the right form and with the right dedication. There we have it, the four-way test. Like myself, relief efforts and aid packages aren't perfect, but with a considerate approach, they can be. Through the four-way test, we can see the truth, that there's an indescribable amount of strife in today's society, but we can also see that relief can resolve these struggles fairly, benefiting all concerned, and hopefully building goodwill and better friendships. If my $5 allowance means so much to me, then imagine what it means for our communities. Because when you commit to money, resources, and outreach, it's not just charity, it's an investment in opportunity. And that, like much of our history, will never cease to defy imagination. Thank you.
And thank you, speaker number 3. I enjoy these speeches so much that I always learn about Rotary. We think we know because we're from the inside, but seeing a different set of eyes coming from the outside is very rewarding and enlightening, and just what we don't know about Rotary ourselves. And the youth can lead the way. It seems happens every year. Just wonderful. what was
Our judges are deliberating. Our next meeting next week will be honoring Patrick Riley, our Rotarian of the Month, who was nominated for that honor from the International Committee. And Patrick also leads our peace initiative. And we'll also be honoring a new PHF +5 next week, and that's at 5:30 on Tuesday.
Thank you, Linda. And judges, we doing okay?
I believe we're ready to move on.
Okay, that brings us to speaker number 4. Number 4, when you are ready.
One of my favorite quotes from the musical Hamilton is, "How does a ragtag volunteer army in need of a shower somehow defeat a global superpower?" I made the executive decision not to rap that line. You're welcome. Anyway, I have the same question as Hamilton. How exactly did a ragtag volunteer army win the war against Great Britain and create the country we have today? I think the answer can be found in chaos theory. They call it the butterfly effect. It's this idea that a small change in a complex system can have large effects elsewhere. The famous example used in pop culture to explain this idea is a single butterfly flapping its wings on one side of the globe can, in theory, start a hurricane on the other. Someone really must have made butterflies mad this year, sending 2020 into a spiraling mess. If 2020 was plotting our demise, then Rotary was doing everything it could to prevent it. Rotary has utilized their more than 1.2 million members worldwide, engaged in disaster response, focused on promoting peace, education, and solving environmental issues, and more. I see the butterfly effect in Rotary's service mission. And I feel like I should tell you that my grandpa is one of you, a member of Rotary, and he loves it. His first experience of serving in Rotary came about through a program called Happy Feet. He met a little second grader who was wearing 2 left shoes and no socks. The little kid was so excited to get new socks and shoes donated by Rotary members. Afterwards, he approached my grandpa and nervously looked down at his shoes and whispered, "Can I keep my old shoes?" My grandpa was surprised, but the little guy explained that those 2 left shoes were all he could ever remember wearing. Donating those shoes made my grandpa realize how important a small act of service can be. He decided then and there to become more involved in Rotary. My grandpa also donated money to help eradicate polio, a global Rotary mission. Now, 99.9% of cases are eradicated. I'm not saying he donated enough for the 99.9%, but him and every other member of Rotary together did something phenomenal. Even a small action or a small donation can send ripples to the rest of the world. That is the butterfly effect. To understand the correlation between the butterfly effect and how that opens opportunities, let's look at Rotary's past. Paul Harris, who is the founder of Rotary, moved to Chicago as a new attorney. Not knowing anyone in a big city made him feel lonely and nervous. Totally relate to that one. He realized that there were probably a lot of other people who felt the same. He decided that he should bring them all together. He said, and I quote, "If others were longing for fellowship as I was, something would come of it." Well, something did come of it. This simple idea from a regular man spiraled into something no one could predict. It became one of the most well-known humanitarian organizations of all time. It became Rotary. Let's subject this idea to the Rotary 4-way test. First, is it the truth? How does Rotary open opportunities through service? Well, in January 2012, protests broke out everywhere in Nigeria. The whole country was rioting. Yola had over 2,000 orphans begging on the streets. Around this time, Marjorie Ensign started a chapter of Rotary in Yola, hoping to solve these problems. Through Rotary, there began to be talk about solutions to fix the division and rioting. What started as a conversation grew into the Adamoa Peace Initiative. After creating the Adamoa Peace Initiative, Rotarians helped run the Read and Feed program, which provides a hot meal along with lessons in English, math for the orphan children on the streets. There's also now a youth program called Whiz Kids, offering free classes in science, technology, engineering, and math. Everything you do matters. Marjorie Ensign's decision to charter the Rotary Club in Yola resulted in more opportunities for these orphans and their entire community. Next, is Rotary service fair to all concerned? I asked my brother to define fairness, but it wasn't the most accurate definition. So I had to go to the dictionary for help. Webster's defines fair as just and equitable. Rotary's service is equitable to all concerned. It ensures those that need the most help in poor countries and even in our own communities receive Rotary resources. That leads us to the third introspective question. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? To understand this question, I'll share a quick story. I once spent an entire day pulling weeds at a grief center for little kids. It was hard, sweaty work, and my back ached. It was in the middle of a Vegas summer. You heard me right. It was brutally hot. And yet, this is one of my favorite memories. The strangers I worked beside as we pulled weeds ended up becoming close friends by the end of the day. Serving encourages camaraderie with those that you are serving with. As you probably know, the name Rotary originated from the idea that people rotate from one business to the other, learning about different industries and making connections. But similar to the butterfly effect, Rotary has grown into a service organization that enriches the communities it serves. Service drives the connection between business leaders. What better way to get to know Franklin D. Roosevelt, Thomas Edison, or Walt Disney, all famous Rotarians, than by building a house in Mexico together, by participating in a kitchen making sandwiches for the homeless, or buying little kids new shoes. There is no longer a rotation of business in the traditional sense, but Rotary's diversity only makes opportunities more rampant for the members, for the homeless who had a warm meal, and for the children with newly built homes in Mexico. And finally, is this beneficial to everyone? This question is an easy one to answer. Here are a few things Rotary has done. 110 schools in Ghana have better sanitation and hygiene due to Rotary. Clubs in Japan and Brazil used Rotary's help to equip a hospital with life-saving neonatal equipment. In Afghanistan, Rotary members opened a girls' school to break the cycle of poverty and social imbalance. In the US, Rotary partnered with Pro-Literacy Detroit after finding out that more than half of the local adult population was functionally illiterate. Now more than 500 adults have raised their reading levels by 3 grades. Rotary changes the focus from selfish to selfless. The way Rotary values the 4-way test mirrors that. The 4-way test encourages us to look at the majority, the all, what's best for all concerned. Rotary opens opportunities for everyone because it encourages a world of selfless action which ripples through each community. As the founder Harris explained, Rotary has demonstrated its ability to contribute towards the world supply of happiness. In 1915, he wrote, "We are passing our 10th milestone now. What Rotary will be 100 years hence, none living can imagine. There is nothing impossible to Rotary now." End quote. Rotary opens opportunities because it makes the impossible possible through service. If a butterfly can flap its wings and cause a hurricane, or as we call it, 2020, in contrast, Rotary can create lasting positive change through service. As George Washington sings in Hamilton, history has its eyes on you. What will Rotary be in 100 years? None of us can imagine, but we can have confidence, just like Harris has, that the world will be a better place because Rotary was a part of it. Thank you.
And thank you. And at this time, Miss Linda will get our judges and our timekeeper off to the side room for their deliberation. And something just happened on my TV. Mute.
And they are in their breakout room.
Okay. Linda, can you change speaker number 1, 2, 3, and 4 back to their names
I will do that.
so that they know who they are? What we would ask right now is that each speaker in the same sequence, tell us your name, what you like about school, what's happening, just a little about you personally after we can put your bio to your speech. Is speaker number 1 available?
Hi, my name is Shreya. I'm currently a senior in high school, and I'm only taking a couple classes from my high school this year. I transitioned into CSN in the beginning of last semester to get like a head start on my college applications and stuff by getting a few credits in. And most of the time, what I do with my free time is I like building robots, and I build small things so that they can make my family's life a little bit easier. Like a while ago, I built this small robot that would fold my sister's clothes for her when she went off to college. And it's really not difficult or like a huge, amazing thing, but I think it's a super achievable thing for a lot of kids to be able to do if they are just in the right mindset. And my parents really encouraged my little hobby ever since I was super young. And right now, even I'm working on a composter for my mother for her birthday. So gotta keep it quiet. And it's gonna automatically compost for her because she really loves to garden. So I'm excited, I'm having a good time, and I'm just glad to be here.
Where do you plan on going to school next year? UNLV, CSN?
I plan to study biomedical engineering at ASU because they have a really cool institute, and they're working on this super cool machine that like will project what an illness will like do to people's bodies so they can counteract it effectively by like creating avatars for that person. So I thought it was super cool and wanted to work there.
Outstanding. Thank you. And is speaker number 2, Dorothy, are you available?
Hello. So my name is Cole Morgan. Or you could call me Dorothy. It doesn't matter. uh, so I'm on the cross country team at Palo Verde. So I'm really bummed out that we didn't have an actual season this year and that sports were canceled. That would have been a lot of fun. School is definitely different this year, being on the computers. Uh, we've missed out on a lot of really cool opportunities. So I actually really thank you all for inviting us here today so we could partake in this, uh, get us out of our houses for a little bit at least. uh, I do not know where I'm going to go to school for college. I do know that I'm interested in archaeology. I am in love with history. I love learning about every little thing that's happened in the past in our world. I do plan on going somewhere on the East Coast, so I do not know exactly where. Uh, so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Outstanding. Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
And Ethan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, I'm Ethan Shao. I'm a junior at Palo. Because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to play varsity tennis with my school, which is a little sad, but it's still like a sport you can play while socially distant. So I think it's great that I can like still find ways to connect with like my peers, even if it's like a quarter cross. School has been very interesting as in the online forum, but with like more time because like a lot of extracurriculars got canceled, I'm able to dedicate myself more to my schoolwork. So it kind of worked out in the end. Um, for my like college plans, it, I don't know exactly. I mean, my dream school would definitely probably be Yale, but it's a reach school for everyone. So I think for sure I would want to go out of state.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. And
Oh, sorry.
Ella?
I'm a senior in high school. I also was on the cross country team with Cole, so that was really fun. Sadly, this year got canceled, but you know, the nice part about running is you can run anywhere. So I still kind of am my own cross country team. I am also president of this nonprofit called Free to Express, and it's teaching kids how to learn how to have constructive disagreements. Because you know, right now our community is so polarized. It's all about teaching kids how to find common ground and how to be active listeners. So while the pandemic has been awful in a lot of ways, it's given me a lot of time, and so I was able to do Rotary, and I'm able to work more on my nonprofit, which is really cool. And for college, I'm still debating between BYU and NYU, and I want to major in international relations.
Outstanding. Thank you, ma'am.
Wow, what a great group. Thank you so much, students, for participating this morning. You're our future, and it looks pretty bright to me.
And will the judges let you know when they're ready to come back, Linda?
They can return to the main room at will.
Okay, so I
So
assume
when
they
they
will
are
be-
done, they will return. In the meantime, Michael Turner, I believe you have a committee meeting tonight?
Yes, I do. Committee meeting tonight is the Child Sex Trafficking Committee. We are working on an awareness campaign. Initially, it will be launched here in Southern Nevada, and eventually we will roll it out across District 5300. That probably is a year or more, or maybe almost a year and a half before that will happen. If you're interested in joining the committee, please send me an email, and we will give you information on how to connect to the meeting tonight.
Excellent. It looks like our judges have returned.
Hi, I'm private messaging Greg in the chat our results. Is that what you want us to do?
That'd be great.
Okay.
And I will
Other than-
close the breakout room.
Other than Greg doesn't know how to read a private message.
The
we're
chat is
just
at the
lovely.
bottom of your screen, Greg, and you'll see a number on there when there's a chat for you.
Discontinue, I don't want to do that.
I haven't sent it yet, so it's not going to pop up until I
I
send
will
it.
stop looking.
Okay.
As I explained to everyone before this meeting started, it was a grand experiment this morning of technology at its best and worst. And I'm sorry for any inconvenience to our speakers or our judges today, but I think we did as well as we could with what we had to work with. And as I mentioned before, our number one speaker will receive $100. The other three speakers will each receive $50 if they have shared their address with Greg Townsend. If not, I'm going to take that $50 and have a really great time. So I would suggest that you do that.
That's order. Write down the name of the first person.
Okay, so Greg, you should
Yes,
have
ma'am.
if you click, there's
You want the
at the bottom of your screen,
You should have
if you
chat.
click on chat, you'll see a message that I sent you with our totals.
Okay, so I've got mute, stop. Jamie, why don't you just go ahead and announce who number one is?
Great idea.
The
Okay.
winner was- and
You know,
nobody's a loser. We have a winner, first place champion, and we have 3 co-champions.
And yes, and before we announce the winners, thanks to our judges this morning, the judges all raise your hand so everyone will know who you were this morning. Al Jensen, Jamie, and Cam Camburn, thank you so very much. I know that Cam is actually also a Toastmaster. So thanks so much for helping us this morning.
Absolutely.
And Al is a professional speech
Al is
coach
a
here in
professional
town.
speaker, right?
And Mr. Jamie has participated in pageants, has a degree in communications, and is a member of the Las Vegas Rotary Club.
Terrific. All right, take it away, Jamie.
Okay, so first place, we have speaker number 4. Congratulations.
Outstanding, yay.
Thank you.
And thank you. I have your contact information from all 4 of the
Excellent.
speakers, and I'm assuming that Ms. Briselli has had to go teach class today. Somebody has to go to work still.
And Greg, tell us what the next step is for our winner.
On the 20th of next month, we are planning a live opportunity on the Saturday, 10 o'clock in a local office building that we can maintain social distancing and get to see our speakers from 3 or 4 other areas that will be moving on to the next level. The winner of that one, the next month would have another opportunity. Don't know if that is going to be in person
Okay.
or if that is going to be virtual.
It's unmuted.
And the final will be at our district conference, and I'm assuming they will still have the speech available on Rotary. Jim Camburn is approaching the speaker here, and he is the area Southern Nevada coordinator. Jim, any enlightenments?
Yeah, unmute yourself, please, Jim.
Yeah, Greg, the next level, as you know, is the area. And in the area with this winner will compete with the West winner in Moapa Valley. The other are fours that will be competing will be the Las Vegas Club, the Las Vegas Southwest, Green Valley, and the Downtown Club. And then in April, we'll have the regional competition, which will then have two competitors there. And I'm still waiting to hear back from the district chair as respects to the district. Last year, you'll recall, the regional as far as we went, and we just took part of the pot from the district and distributed it there. As soon as I get the final word back, I can assure you that Greg and others will be so advised.
Well, thank you, Jim,
Great
for all,
program today. Thank you.
thank you, Jim, for all you do for the district with coordinating these speech contests. It was great this morning. Congratulations, Ella, and congratulations to Shreya, Cole, and Ethan as well. You all did a great job. And like I said, you're our future, and we think it's pretty bright. So tomorrow we have a fundraising meeting, correct, Michael Turner?
That is correct. The fundraising meeting will be tomorrow at 5:30 on Zoom. If you want to participate, send me an email and I will send you the connection information.
Wonderful. And our big fundraising event is the pizza party coming up soon. And we hope that we have many of you participating with that. It's the major fundraiser for Michael's year as president. And we look forward to grand initiatives next year from Michael. Any other announcements this morning? Greg Townsend, would you like to lead us out with the four-way test?
Of the things we think, say, and do. Number one, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Number two,
Is
Is it
fair
fair
to
to all
concerned?
Officials who are all concerned.
Number three,
Will it build better friendships?
and number four.
Will it be
Will it be
Will it be
beneficial?
beneficial to all concerned?
Concerned.
Thank you all,
Thank you.
and ding, the meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.